Hey team, hey students. This is Coach Hug. I know I'm looking a little dapper today. Got the the chessboard collared shirt. Trying to look nice for you guys. And here we go with part two of the Slav structures. I know yesterday we started with Slav, and I know we guys kind of went through like a quick game how the Slav can go really wrong. This one I think it does show that the Slav is usually more positional. It usually doesn't have like a tactical flourish like right away like that game. Um, it usually is slow and incremental, and you kind of like jump on black making mistakes or like slight inaccuracies, and you have pressure. Well, we'll see in the games. So yeah, we go over two games, and let's start with this game. Uh, I opened with d4. They opened they countered with d5, grabbing control of the center. I go c4, queen's gambit. They go c6, strengthening their d5 pawn. Knight f3, knight f6, knight c3. Oh yeah, and to remind you guys, mention again if you ever don't like the eval. I can always turn it off for a different lesson. But we'll continue with this lesson with it. E6. This is the common triangle of the Slav structure. I go bishop g5, bishop e7, e3. And remember, common ideas, I just want to remind everyone, when playing the structure as white, you're really trying to limit black's bishop. And as black, in some ways, you're trying to play c5, and in some cases, you're trying to play e5, and eventually develop this bishop. After e3, I'm strengthening d4. They go h6, trying to boot away my bishop. Go bishop h4. They go knight b d7. I go bishop e2. They castle. I go queen b3. Lately, I think I've been doing queen c2 or just castling. Queen b3 is fine. You're really trying to put pressure on the structure, and you want to develop your queen and develop and connect your rooks as soon as possible. Go dx4. Go bishop xc4. Better would be queen, but it's very slight inaccuracy. They go knight b6. I go back to bishop d3. They go knight d5. I castle. They go a6. And this a6 move did seem a little bit weird to me, mainly because I am curious what they should do. Like, is a5 okay? No, I still don't like it. Probably like c. Oh yeah. c5 right away. You really do want to just hammer at this structure. I just thought a6 was weird because, of course, they may be preparing b5, but I don't think they really needed a6 to do that if they wanted to do it later. But we castle, they go a6, and I jumped to knight e5. With c5, maybe the knight on e5, I kind of get that outpost, because c5 would have already harmed the structure, and would have to have the knight protecting this d4 pawn. Now I jumped in with knight e5. They still played c5, but I was still a little bit happier with this. I went rook fd1. They took, made this kind of an isolated d-pawn. And then they did a move that I was really happy about. They went b5. And why I really liked b5 was it allowed a hole into their structure, and I could always trade off this queen and bishop. So I went knight c6. They went queen d7. And here I want you guys to take your time, pause the video, and try to find the best move for white at this point, and to consider maybe trades, consider maybe like knight e4, like try to consider just moves that are now open because of that b5, and how that queen on d7 isn't maybe the most beneficial move. So yeah. Pause. Okay, unpause. The move, and we'll go through all the lines, is just knight x d7, and it almost looks like easy, or it's like the first move that comes to mind, but you have to kind of understand why these trades benefit you, and we'll go over them. Let's say they do queen x, because this didn't happen in the game. We'll go through some lines here. Knight x d5, and again they can't move the knight because the bishop would take. So they would have to go ext5, and now they have an isolated d pawn just like I do. And really, this tremendous pressure that I have on this queen is really just not beneficial for them. I can just go h3, continue improving my structure, and I always have pressure on this b5 pawn. And let's say they even do like something like bishop b7, I'm already attacking the structure. Let's say they don't do queen x e7 because there are other moves. Let's say they went knight x d7, which is what they did in the game. This basically allows me to get an open king. And this really was not, this was to me like the best line they could that I got into, because I was a little bit scared of, after knight x and queen x, of like them just doing ext5, and it's like still beneficial for me, but it is a little bit harder for me, I think, to prove. I also was thinking of rook e1 instead of h3, and this one just allows me to gain control of an important file already off the bat, and this bishop is still hasn't developed while my pieces are a little bit more developed. So let's continue. After knight x e7, knight x e7, bishop x, gx, I went bishop e4, and here is actually kind of a mistake. Let's turn off lines here. It is kind of a mistake going bishop e4. I really should have realized in this position like some key factors. This pawn is so weak, right? It hurts their structure so much. And what I should have seen, and I think I would have seen it now, is knight e4. It's a very common idea in these structures. If you're allowed to have this post, it always is good for white. Because let's consider some things. Like, let's say he tries to defend it with his knight. You have this cool tactic with queen x, and you're saying, Coach, I don't understand. They just take with the queen. Well, then I have knight check. And wherever they go, basically I am up a pawn, so that wouldn't be good for them. And let's say they took with the pawn, I still have the same idea of winning a pawn just that way with the same fork. And if they don't protect with the knight, let's say they go, let's say I go knight e4 and they go here. I'm pretty sure I have bishop x b5. Oh, no, this is hanging. I thought I had bishop c2 maybe, or bishop b1. Okay, it is bishop b1 or bishop c2. And basically, yes, they have this, they got a pawn. Basically, I get my pawn back with even more tempo with like f4. And after queen c7, I can even win the pawn back with the king even more open. And this is just not good for black. So yeah, we do knight x c7, they went knight x, and we opened it up like this, and I went bishop e4. So not the best way to continue, but we trudge on. They go bishop b7, trying to trade off. I go d5. This is the only really good move in this position, and basically they kind of have to take. It's not an easy move to do because it's all the trades really benefit me with their open king. They go e5, and this kind of allows me to steamroll in the game. And I want you guys to find the next move. And pause. Okay, unpause. The best move is d6, and it honestly seems so simple, like that other move, but you just have to factor in why everything is hitting in the right way. Really, it's all belonging to this f6 pawn. When you open this king up like this and you create such a weakness, it's basically the focal point of what you're trying to do, and really any trades benefit white here. So let's go through. Basically, if they take, which is kind of the most common idea, you don't even take the knight. You go knight x e4, and again you're pressuring winning the queen like this, and you can't even go queen e6 because you have pressure on the knight, and this would be completely losing. I don't want to go over what they did in the game just yet, but yeah, let's say they do, because I thought this was a really good move too. Knight g6, I could actually just take, and before even pushing the pawn, I can even just do a little knight d5. And basically, I even have pressure on this e7 pawn. I have pressure against g7, and if they go here, I'm pretty sure I can even just go knight e7. Oh, I can't. Okay, I would have to go. see this. I think queen g3 was very good, or queen f3. Yes, because queen f3, I have such pressure against f6, and there's really no way to stop it. And if you're wondering here, I think, was it just queen g3? And then I win this pawn? Yeah, and it's just an easy win of a pawn, and it's just so devastating. And they do have maybe a little bit of counterplay here, but it's just not good for them. But yeah, let's continue off. Let's say we went over that line. We went over knight g6. What they did in the game is they went knight f5, and it's kind of maybe like a little similar to knight g6. But I thought knight g6 is a little bit more holding. Well, not really holding, but like trying to defend as best you can. After knight f5, I find bishop x b7, and after queen x, I have the same idea from before, which is knight d5. And it's just so strong. I'm hitting f6, and they kind of just have to do king g7 here. And after that, I go queen h3, basically a very like powerful queen move, just putting so much pressure, threatening just this and winning the knight. They go queen d7, protecting, and I have this cool move to finish off the game, knight e7, and with this pin, he resigns in a few moves because he can't take, and I take the queen, and it is, yeah, pretty resign worthy after this. And let's go into the next game. Where's that the game? I think this one's different, right? Yeah, it is. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we start with d4, they go d5, we go c4, e6, we see a similar structure, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, c6, the common triangle. We go bishop g5, they go queen a5. Here they have a different approach. This is like the Cambridge Springs. That's like one of these lines. Basically, they want dx c4 and have this pressure against this bishop in some lines. And they just have constant pressure against my c3 knight. I go take, they take gx f6, and again we kind of see this like pressure I just want to do on this f6 pawn, kind of what I do in this line, switch it up every now and then, but it makes sense. And they're just trying to have constant pressure against the c3 knight. I go e3, they go bishop e4, I go queen c2. Again, queen c2 and queen b3 is a very similar idea in these lines, having pressure against the light squares and just centralizing the queen, connecting the rooks. They go f5, I go a3, and I can't take just yet because they can just take my rook, but it is kind of like not really a threat, but it's there, and I have it for at least some in some future lines. They go rook g8, and I actually really like this move from them. It put constant pressure on my g2, and it kind of messed with me a little bit. I made a kind of a bad move. I went rook g1. I had a plan in mind, like a very in-depth plan. This was like a 65 minute game, and the plan kind of makes sense when we go deeper into it. But I messed up here, and that really is just a simple. Sometimes you just have to do that weakening, maybe weakening king move, pawn move, for in the future. But it does have its merits. Really, it's just do the simple g3. Same eval. It have basically another hole for the bishop if I don't want to put it on this diagonal. And another merit is it just doesn't have any pressure on g2 if I ever move this bishop. So it just doesn't make sense. But I did go rook g1, they went knight d7, I went take. And this was the idea of rook g1. I wanted to do this crazy line, and you see the eval, and you guys are probably like, what? This is crazy, coach. I don't understand why you're playing like this. Go back to checkers, all this. But I did have some merits with this move. I wanted to sack the exchange to basically go king d2 and say, hey, I'm going to develop this rook eventually. I like my pieces way more than your sheltered king, and I don't really know what you're doing with this queen. And after queen a6, this is where I want you guys to pause, and I want you guys to consider the best move, the move that you would play in this position. Okay, unpause. I am really curious what your guys' move was. Coach did not do the best move. And it was definitely the start of my downfall. I for some reason really thought c5 was the correct move in this position. What you're supposed to do is cx d5, and basically you just gained a pawn back, right? With from the exchange you had, or how you're down in material, you basically gain a pawn because they can't really do anything except move the queen, and they can't just win back that pawn with a common move. They would have to go queen b6, and basically I would do like something like this, and this is a decent position. And I think we can look a little bit because this is a very hard position to play. But I would have maybe gone bishop c4, and after like knight of 6, queen b3. In the game, both players have like decent play. I do think it's a little easier to play for black now, but this game would have continued like this. Um, what happened instead was I went c5 because I really thought I was trapping the queen. But I want you guys to pause again very quickly and find a move that can maybe save the queen. Yes, unpause. You guys found the best move, which b5, and it's literally the only move that saves the queen. Um, Sometimes you'll play these moves in your games and you think you have this great plan of like me. For me, it was trapping the queen, but they have this cool move that's like, hey, I'm out of here, and they go b5, finding the one square that they can get out with their queen. And this was a good game. I kind of resigned not too long after this, but I could have played on a little bit more. Basically, after b5, I went cx b6. What I maybe should have done was do the g3 move again, and basically say that I have a closed structure. It's very hard to break through, and play this very defensively, and trying to play this like I'm just trying to hold to a draw. Um, but yeah, the game continues after I do in passant. They go queen x b6. I go b5. They go c5. Really smart of opening up the position because my king is in the center. I go bishop d3. They go knight e5. I go rook h1. Honestly, I really should have seen dx 5 mainly because like rook a1 doesn't really apply anything, and I at least basically now have g3. e5 isn't really a threat, and this knight move isn't necessarily like I'm losing right away. And g3 maybe gives me some like holding chances. After rook a1, they kind of find this clean move of just c4. It's just so strong to have these this kind of like connect 4 idea. And after c4, I go knight a4, and yeah, I resigned shortly after this because they did queen a5. I went king d1, and they just one pieces. And this was a good game. I really got destroyed by my opponent, and they showed how the Slav can be very tricky, and it can have play with this dark square queen and this bishop, and basically their structure was a little bit stronger, I think, in this game than last game. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing two Slav games, one that black one that white one. Different nuances in them, but starting from that same position of c6, d5, and e6, it can be a very strong toolkit to play as either white and black. You have many ideas as white and black, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys Thursday of next week, and yeah, Coach Hug out.